What's up, LTB fam? It's your boy Travis here again with Lucky Tackle Box, and it's that time of the month for another video. So this month we're talking about fall fishing. Now, when you're talking about the fall, there's a few things you want to take into consideration. First is we're gonna get colder nights. Coming out of that summer, everything's gonna cool down, including the lake water temperatures, right? So what happens is the bait in the lake, like the shad and stuff, they start to school up into these big old schools, and they move into coves and the back of creek channels, and the bass follow them. Hordes and hordes of bass follow them because there's so much food for these fish to feed on. Now, what the trick is, you've got to figure out what coves, what creek channels, and where in those areas that these fish have schooled up and are pounding that bait. So today, we're gonna talk about how to locate those different areas and what baits to use to be able to locate and catch those bass. So one of the lures that we're gonna use is the Glo-Pro soft lipless crankbait here. This is a soft lipless, meaning it's a soft-bodied bait. Very cool little style thing. I think you guys are really gonna like it. So let's break it down a little bit more detail, starting with rigging. Okay guys, let's break down this soft little lipless. And the first thing you realize is it's soft. You know, the normal lipless baits are hard baits, and this is something a little bit different. You're gonna use it pretty much the same as you would a normal hard bait, except for it's gonna have a little bit different vibration in the water, and also it's gonna feel a little bit different. When these fish come up and bite it, it's gonna feel to them more realistic than those harder baits that we're normally using. Another thing is, it's unique to Glo-Pro itself, is these little glow sticks. That's part of the name of the company, is Glo-Pro. And you put these little glow sticks and you break them, put them in there, and depending on the depth zones you're fishing, there's different colors you can put in, and it gives these baits a little bit different glow, a different visibility at different level water depths. So there's a chart you can follow to kind of guide you on what you should use. Definitely a new idea, so something I want to hear from you guys. You know, glow sticks and things like that have been around for a long time, but the way they're using it is kind of a little bit innovative. So let me know in the comment section what you think. Does it improve your catch at all? And then all you do is just tie it up. I use a Palomar knot. Really, any knot works. And the more important part comes next, in retrieval. Oh, wow. Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord, this fish hit that. Did you see how hard I got hit? What is this? I'm not even sure this is a bass, the way it hit it so hard. Oh my gosh, it doesn't want to come up. Dude, what did I catch? There's no way. Oh my gosh, look at this. You guys are gonna love this. I knew it wasn't a bass. The way it hit it so hard. But I know that a lot of you LTB subscribers like to catch just fish in general. And that is a nice size catfish. Just smacked it. I was hopping the bait this time, and all of a sudden just wham! And when you have catfish like this, I'm gonna let you know, and they're hitting it that aggressively, you're in a good area. This is an area where these fish, there is a lot of bait, and so that means there's gonna be everything that wants to feed on this bait. And if they're attacking moving baits and stuff, that means these fish are aggressive in here, and there should be some nice big bass in here too. All right, come on, buddy. All right, for any of you guys that have watched past lipless crankbait videos of mine, you'll know that I am strong on the point that there's no wrong way to retrieve a lipless crankbait. No matter what you do, it really has so many different possibilities of being able to retrieve this that you can't really go wrong. So for starters, you can just cast this thing out and reel in with your rod tip down, and you're gonna catch fish. It's that easy, cast and reel. A slight adjustment is when you're going into shallower water, call it thinner water, you can actually lift that rod tip up, and that's gonna allow that bait to run a little bit more shallow. But if you put the rod tip down, that'll get that crankbait down a little bit deeper. Also, if you speed up your retrieve, that's gonna make it run shallower. If you slow it down, that'll allow it to sink and run a little bit deeper. Then there is, what I like to do is just cast out and you kind of just lift, reel in the slack. Lift, reel in the slack. Or you can sweep the rod, reel in the slack, sweep the rod. And that's gonna give two different approaches. And when you're lifting, that's making that bait hop up and down. When you're sweeping, it's making it kind of scurry, like, and then it kind of sinks down, then scurries again. So the reality is though, you're gonna use a combination of all those. You wanna see how the fish are responding, what kind of bait they're looking for. Is the bait dying off? Is the bait really frantic in shallow water? And you're gonna wanna mix it up. There's gonna be times when you make a couple sweeps, then a lift, then just gradually reel. Every once in a while, give it a little jerk or something like that. You've gotta figure out what the fish are responding to in your body of water. Now, one thing I like is using a little spinning setup. I know a lot of you guys feel comfortable using spinning setups, but a lot of times some of these heavier crankbaits, bigger baits, you've got to go to a bait casting setup. This bait doesn't weigh all that much, so you can get away with using a little, medium heavy 7-foot spinning rod setup. I've got 10-pound line. You can go as light as 8-pound line. And remember, when you use an 8 or 10-pound line, you're going to get a better motion out of this bait because it's going to allow this bait to be free. If you go up to like a 20-pound line, it's really not gonna allow this bait the freedom to vibrate in the water, really do that nice little shimmy it's got that attracts those fish. So, and that's why, I like this. What I'm using right here is a 10-pound Seagar Tatsu fluorocarbon line. Low visibility, it's got a nice low stretch. I can really feel these fish if they load up on it, because a lot of times these fish will hit it. When you lift up and you let that bait sink back down, that's when you're gonna get bit. So you really wanna be able to feel that. A good rod, good line, you can really feel that little tick. It's time to break down location. Where should we be throwing this bait, right? All right, so the idea is that these bait fish are gonna be moving into the creek channels, coves and things, and we've gotta figure out where they are. So if you have no idea, you just start at either the point, or you can go all the way back and work your way out. But right now we're starting here at the point, and we're gonna make our way to the back of this creek channel, and we're hoping that we are going to run into a school of fish. And so we're gonna be we're moving along here. We can cover our water quickly. We're gonna change up our retrieves so we can figure out what these fish want, and we're gonna look for signs of bait. So we're gonna be watching our grass, but if you don't have grass, no big deal. You're looking for any kind of birds diving, any kind of activity. If you can see the bait fish flickering on the surface, that is a good indicator that there's bait there, and I promise you there's gonna be fish close by. Another thing worth noting is shade lines. If we got this steep bluff to our right here, the sun's coming up on the other side, we're gonna get a nice shade line right through here, and these fish, they'll hold tight to that shade line. Whereas in the early morning, they might be spread out, or in the late afternoon, they might be anywhere out in the lake chasing schools. If you have a nice tight shade line close to a steep bank, it's perfect. You wanna parallel that bank, get real close, make casts right along there, and that's gonna be a very high percentage until the sun comes up and gets rid of that shade again. Good one. This one hit right at the boat. So guys, when you get whacked, oh, he's barely hooked. When you get hit right at the boat like this, first of all, you got to note where you get hit. That fish hit me right here at the boat, so those fish are suspended. I've been casting a little shallow. I've been casting up a little bit shallow. I want to make sure that I give a little bit more attention to out deeper. Nice little spotted bass. Oh, good. It was actually hooked to the lip pretty good. Good little fish, all right? So that fish hit at the boat. I cast way up shallow and it hit right here. So I wanna pay attention. These fish might be suspended. That's what's so good about a lipless crankbait is you can fish all depths. Shallow, you keep that rod tip up, you can really cover that shallow areas, but as you go deeper, you can fan cast way out, you can count it down, let it sink. And when I say count it down, you count 1001, 1002, 1003, start reeling at a real even speed, and it'll stay right at that depth. And you can figure out where these fish are actually hanging out. But something very important, you've got to let these fish talk to you, communicate with you throughout the day. And right now, this fish, he just told me, he's like,
Thomas, we're out a little bit suspended and deeper.
So anyway, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start making some casts off the shore a little bit more. And this is a spotted bass. Spotted bass and smallies will come a long ways off. So if they're even down deep, they'll come up 10, 15 feet, no problem to hit a bait. Largemouth, you gotta get a little bit closer to them. You gotta keep that bait around them. If the largemouth are down deep, you're gonna let that bait get down there real deep as well. But this spotty, man, came up. I don't know if it was suspended or it came up off the bottom and whacked it. Some things to think about as you're moving your way back into these creek channels or coves and things is you want to find areas that these fish can really school up at. Rarely is it going to be just along the bank. A lot of times these bait fish will make their way into a little creek channel coming into a main creek arm, or some kind of little secondary point, or maybe even an island top that's in the middle of the back of a cove or something like that. They'll kind of relate to that. So as you make your way back, really focus on the little pieces of cover or something that these fish are gonna relate to. You wanna take notice, and then if you realize that's where they're hanging out in one big section of the lake, then as you move around the lake to other creek arms and coves, the fish are gonna be in a similar situation all the way throughout the lake. So you've got to take note. Remember, when we find out where we got bit, if it's right at the boat, that means those fish might be suspended. Also, you want to figure out where you got bit in relation to that creek arm. Was it way out at the mouth, or was it way back in the back of the cove? Also, was it a big creek arm, or are you getting fish in these smaller creek arms or just tiny coves? You want to, once you figure out where they are, you want to mimic that. Fish the similar situations all the way around the lake. Fall fishing is some of the most exciting fishing of the entire year because these bass school up, right? So if you find them, you can really catch a lot of fish. But for the same reason it can be extremely exciting this time of the year, it can also be really frustrating because if you're fishing areas that the fish are not, there's a lot of empty water, non-productive water. So you've got to make sure that you have the right bait, like this Glo-Pro soft lipless crankbait that you can cover a lot of the water, but also really mimics the prey these fish are looking for. They're looking for these little bait fish. And that way you can effectively cover that water, but then you've also got to know where those high productive areas are. You've got to start at the mouths, work your way into those creek arms, work your way to the back of the coves. And if you're fishing that kind of stuff and you're not catching them, that means you're eliminating water. And if you keep doing that, eventually you're going to run into these fish. You're going to take note as where you found that, and you're going to run that similar pattern throughout the lake to catch even more fish. Guys, I hope this helps. That's why we do these videos, to help you guys have more confidence going out on the lake and on your body of water and hopefully catching some more fish. Anyway, guys, I'm Travis Moran with Lucky Tackle Box. If you enjoyed the video, we love the thumbs up. Leave a comment below. Tell us what you liked the most. Tell us what helped out the most on this video or any other video. I always read and respond to all those. Hit the subscribe button at the bottom so you can always get updates on our new videos. And I'll catch you out on the water. All we had to do was make a little adjustment right there. We came down here with a different, darker color. Oh, he came off. Dude, when they come off, you guys, you're allowed to say 10 pounder. It was probably a 10 pounder because you don't know that it wasn't. Why wasn't it a 10 pounder? You know, if he would have jumped and we would have saw him, then maybe I would have had to reduce the size of what that fish was. But if fish get away, they were always 10 pounders. Remember that.